Hello, BookTube. I've got a little mail for you today on a beautiful high summer day. It is blue-skied and pretty. As predicted, the monstrous heat and humidity of yesterday abated overnight. It went from 90 degrees Fahrenheit at 10 o'clock at night to a day that'll barely reach 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity went from, at one point, 90%, which is exactly the same as walking around in your school's sauna. Not just visiting the sauna with no clothes on, but walking around fully clothed, doing errands and cooking food in that sauna. It went from that to a humidity that was in the low 40s, maybe lower than that. So, as predicted, Boston did indeed get relief from a heat wave. A heat wave that went on for 7 days, and that reached, on Sunday, I believe, it reached 100 degrees Fahrenheit in Boston. But the other prediction, a good chance of thunderstorms, soaking rain, maybe dangerous hail, a severe thunderstorm watch for Boston. My prediction was instead correct, that not a drop of rain fell anywhere, and there was not even a single flash of thunder. And that led meteorologists right away to look ahead to the next possibility of rain. Boston is in a drought, a severe drought. Most of the world is in a severe drought, and the places that aren't are getting flash floods that are ruining houses. So it's it's not exactly a benefit either way. Meteorologists have immediately started looking ahead. I think in 2 days there's going to be the possibility of a frontal system that comes through that brings rain, and there's rain in the possible forecast for a couple of days. But again, as I mentioned, if you look at an app or data estimating or whatnot, and you see 100% chance of rain, which keep in mind we had for yesterday, that means there's a 10% chance of rain. And anything lower than 100%, the percentage keeps going down. So if the forecast is saying there's a 50% chance of rain, there's barely a 1%. It's effectively not going to happen. It has to be a 100% chance in the predictions to even be possible. And the predictions for the next 2 days are nowhere near that. So it will not rain. We will not have any rain in the next few days. The only time to even start thinking about it is when the prediction is 100%. And even then, the likelihood is vanishingly small. I don't know why that is. I have no idea why those numbers are off, but they are consistently off by that much. So, but at least the crushing heat and humidity has gone. It's a wonderful relief. The little things are a wonderful relief when this happens. It was a wonderful relief to open the windows here at Hyde Cottage, to get a cross breeze going, to have fresh air in the place. That was totally impossible to do, even at 9 in the morning. It was 95 degrees Fahrenheit, so there was no way to do that. You'd be crazy to fetishize fresh air at the cost of letting all that hot air in to an already hot place. Instead, I had ceiling fans going, I had floor fans going, but no fresh air. So it's nice to do that. And I think the temperatures tonight are going down into the mid-60s, maybe even some places the high 50s Fahrenheit, which would be downright refreshing and will make for a cool morning. So we did get relief. We just didn't get any rain and no thunder at all. That it is a long, long time since that happened. But the mail came, and not the barrage of boxes that I got the other day, but 3 packages. That's enough to do a mail haul. Gone are the days when we would be getting a whole plastic tub full of mail. May they quickly return, but they're gone for now. So let's see what this first one is. It's a finished copy. It comes out in late July. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Wow. All right. This is from the folks at Tor. I never get stuff from Tor. Well, I do now. Fantastic. I must be on some sort of mailing list. This is 3 Miles Down, a novel of first contact in the tumultuous 1970s. And it is by Harry Turtledove. Needs no introduction. This comes out at the very end of July. This comes out on the last Tuesday of... Wait. Today. This comes out today. I keep thinking we're in early July because construction has thrown me off completely, but this comes out today. It's 1974. And Jerry Stieglitz is a grad student in marine biology at UCLA with a side gig selling short stories to science fiction magazines just weeks away from marrying his longtime fiancée. So Jerry Stieglitz is Harry Turtledove. Then his life is upended by grim-faced men from three-letter agencies who want him to join a top-secret Project Azorian, the cover for a project to raise the sunken Russian submarine, which it is its own cover for exploring what killed the sub in the first place, an alien spacecraft. All right, so it diverges from Harry Turtledove's story. Jerry's a scientist, a long hair, a storyteller, a dreamer, who stands out like a sore thumb on the Glomar Explorer, a ship full of CIA operatives, Rand Corporation eggheads, and roustabout divers. I'm in love already. I don't need any encouragement to read this author, but I'm in love already. And meanwhile, it's still 1974 back on the mainland. The USA is changing fast, and who knows what will happen when this story gets out. Fantastic. Okay. All right. Well, this comes out today, 3 miles down. I'm so on board. This goes straight onto the reading list tonight. I love this author. I imagine he must be getting on in years. But I would love to see something from him that I've never actually seen. I've seen a lot from this author, but I've never actually seen a gigantic epic, just a 1,000-page gigantic epic. If he's written one, I don't know about it. And I would love to. Not under a pseudonym of any kind. No historical epics under a barely inventive pseudonym, but rather a big epic on its own. This is a small thing. I will definitely take it. Absolutely. So, fantastic. All right. So we start with science fiction, straight up science fiction. Great. And it's not even, and I was going to stress that I want August finished copies, but this is something to read tonight. A perfect example of how the mail haul can often influence the TBR. I have a bunch of things that I want to read tonight, but a brand new Harry Turtledove, I will certainly do that. So let's see what this next one is. It is also a finished copy, and it's August 9th. Okay, so this is an August finished copy. Good. What have we got here? It's the Douay Bible. I don't need all this information at all. All right, let's get rid of that. Okay, so this is by Eduardo Nacy, translated by Anthony Sugar, and it is Sentimental Economy. I'll block the beam, because she don't seem to be paying attention to you. New from Strega Prize-winning author Eduardo Nacy is both an intimate look at a son losing his father immediately preceding COVID-19, and Italy as a whole grappling with being one of the countries hit hardest by the virus in 2020. I remember that vividly. I was watching a YouTube channel called, I think it was called Peak Prosperity. I don't think they weren't a medical channel. I think it just so happened that one of the guys on that channel, I think they're more of a, a slightly loony hoard gold for the end times type thing. But one of their hosts started following COVID-19 early on, about as early as I did. I remember vividly, it wasn't even in 2020. I think it was in late 2019 that I saw a grainy photograph of a woman in full winter clothing, heavy coat, scarf on her head and whatnot, lying flat out face down on the floor of a mall in China. And the reports that were going along with that photograph before they were suppressed, were that she just fell over in the mall. And that's when I thought, okay, that bears a little too much similarity to the opening pages of the Decameron. This is probably serious. And then the guy, I forget his name, at Peak Prosperity, started following the story, started calling out the official reports when they were obviously wrong, and started advocating what is almost certainly true. He was, I think, a medical doctor, and said this is clearly a dangerous new virus. We want to be looking at something called the R naught. We want to be paying attention to what's going on. And when it got to Italy, his predictions were absolutely spot on. He watched all the latest developments from Italy and called days or weeks ahead of time. This isn't going to be enough. These numbers are going to keep going up. This is going to paralyze the country. That was one of the first channels that said to me, this is going to paralyze the world economy. And I remember when I watched that must have been January or February of 2020, and I thought, oh, come on. We've had viruses before. And he was right. I don't know. I haven't followed the channel in a long time, but he was right. And Italy, boy, oh boy. It wasn't just Peak Prosperity. I think that was the name of the channel. It was a whole bunch of other people, early commentators, saying the only way you contain this is by forbidding people to go outside except in emergencies, accompanying them where they're going in emergencies in full gear, and not letting anyone leave their towns. It's the only way that it'll work. And that was true. That was true, not just in Italy, but anywhere. And it took a long time, but just the other day, Anthony Fauci admitted that in an interview. Said an interviewer asked him, Robbie Suave, I think, asked him, what would you do different? And Robbie is a tough interviewer because he doesn't agree with a lot of what Fauci did all along. But it was a good interview. It was a very fair one. Fauci he's not a daffodil. He doesn't get up if he senses a hostile question, as long as it's an honest one. And he answered by saying, if I could go back, the one thing I would change is that I would urge the government to impose incredibly strict restrictions right away. That would have done it. That would have done a lot more than what we did, which was to let it rip. Anyway, I interrupted this in mid-sentence, didn't I? Let's go on. The author speaks with a large cast of characters from all walks of life, and as a result, he brings to the forefront concerns about the pandemic's personal, global, and economic aftershocks. The heart of the book lies in the collective nostalgia for Italy's manufacturing industries, including the all-important textile industry, and the artisans whose crafts are slowly being erased through the fallout of the pandemic. This, according to the pub sheet, is a lyrical, book-length essay that synthesizes subjects as varied as economics, fashion, literature, and politics. Well, and you know, if it were anybody else, and the pub sheet were saying that it was a lyrical book-length essay, I would roll my eyes. But if it's an Italian, it could be. It could actually be that. Just like if I got, this is a tiny thing, but if I got a tiny book where the pub sheet said this is page for page a gut-churningly powerful reading experience, if I looked at it and it was 100 pages long, soaking wet, I would tend to roll my eyes unless the author was a Russian, in which case I would say, okay, well, this might be true. So this could actually be a lyrical book-length essay. The author not only voices his experiences, both profound and mundane, from walking through the eerily empty halls of the Uffizi Gallery in Florence to enjoying an afternoon at the beach, but those of fellow Italians. Okay, great. Well, so this is a COVID-19 book. We are going to see a steady supply of these. I actually thought we were going to see an avalanche of them, and we haven't. But we are going to see a steady amount of them, and some of them will be great. That's just the way it is. This was a massive historical event. It's still going on. It's changed all our lives, all at the same time, and in large part in a lot of the same ways. And those things tend to get great works. So, Sentimental Economy. This doesn't come out for another week, but I'm thinking I probably want to get to it tonight. So that's 2 books. I want to read it tonight. So that's 2 books on the TBR tonight. Will this third one also be on the TBR tonight? I can feel already that it's a finished copy. So there's a chance. Let's see. Is it going to be 3 for 3? Am I going to read all 3 of the books I get in the mail tonight? Let's see. First thing will be the pub sheet, the date. July 26th, today. So, okay, great. And this is also from Tor. This is from Tor.com. So this will be more science fiction. Okay, this is a pretty thing. This is A Half-Built Garden by Ruth Anna Emrys. A Half-Built Garden. On a warm March night in 2083. How many of you that are watching this video will be alive in 2083? Provided there's no killer asteroid, which, 2 are projected between now and then, but they might miss. How many of you will be alive in 2083? It's 2022 now. Judy Wallach-Stevens wakes to a warning of unknown pollutants in the Chesapeake Bay. She heads out to check what she expects to be a false alarm. Well, false alarm indeed. The Chesapeake Bay is not going to exist in 2083. It's going to be bone dry. Probably grown over or industrialized. And stumbles upon the first alien visitors to Earth. You're kidding me. This is another First Contact novel. Just like 3 miles down. These aliens have crossed the galaxy to save humanity, convinced that the people of Earth must leave their ecologically ravaged planet behind and join them among the stars. And if humanity doesn't agree, they may need to be saved by force. Okay, I'm intrigued. But now corporations, nation-states, and networks all vie to represent humanity to these powerful new beings. And if anyone accepts the aliens' offer, Earth may be lost. With everyone's eyes turned skyward, everything hinges on the success of Judy's effort to create understanding, both within and beyond her own species. Okay. All right, let's see here. A literary descendant of Ursula Le Guin. Oh, my. Okay. Well, that's a high compliment, but it's also mighty big shoes to fill. I wouldn't want that saddled on me. Amherst crafts a novel of extraterrestrial diplomacy and urgent climate repair, bursting with quiet, tenuous hope and an underlying warmth. This novel depicts a world worth building towards, a humanity worth saving from itself, and an alien community worth entering with open arms. It's not the easiest future to build, but it's one that just might be in reach. Okay, well, I'm kind of verklempt here. That is good old-fashioned science fiction. What, don't you think, baby? You don't care about science fiction, new or old, do you? No, you don't. She wants to go OUT. She wants to go on a walk. And you'd think she'd be tired because the last walk that she went on, good God, she was the cop of the neighborhood. She screamed at everybody to pet her, all the humans, and she screamed at all the dogs to get their act together. Some of them know her. They know she's not aggressive. She just likes to make a lot of noise, so they just amble right up to her. There's one in particular, a gorgeous boy. He is, I don't know, one of those weird Frankenstein breeds now, a cockaschnitzel or a cockapoodle or something like that. He's a big, lanky, boned puppy. Go on down, baby. Go on, there you go. Everything's fine. There you go. And he just can't get it into his head that she does not play. He just can't do that. He ambles up to her, very happy to see her every time, and then starts to invite her to play and nose her around, and she just, how dare you? She would never attack him, but she just gets stiffer and stiffer and stiffer. I always have to intervene. I laugh a bit because it's funny because she's so stuck up. But then I intervene and remind the boy that I'm the one he plays with. You can flop all over me. I don't care at all. So who is this author when she's at home? I shouldn't read the author bio, should I? Because I'm in love with the book. I'm going to read this tonight. But the author bio can only ruin that. Let's see. Ruth Anna Emrys is the author of the Innsmouth Legacy series, including Wintertide and Deep Roots, and the Imperfect Commentaries collection. Do any of you know the Innsmouth Legacy series? She writes radically hopeful short stories about religion and aliens and psycholinguistics. She lives in a mysterious manor house on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. with her wife and their large, strange family. She creates real versions of imaginary foods in her crowded kitchen, gives unsolicited advice, and occasionally attempts to save the world. Okay. Well, we got through that unscathed. All right, well, this comes out today. This is yet more science fiction for you. You science fiction fantasy fans are in luck. So that is the mail. We got a half-built garden about First Contact. We got 3 Miles Down by Harry Turtledove about First Contact, radically different kind of First Contact. And we got Sentimental Economy, a lyrical prose poem translated from the Italian about COVID. How does this thing start? Sometime back, well before the pandemic, the screenwriter and director Giovanni Veronesi, who had a show on TV called Maledetti Amici Miei, Damned Friends of Mine, reached out to ask me if I'd like to write something about friendship, which would then be read on air by the actress Valeria Solarino. I had only recently finished writing a show called My Shadow Is Yours, and I felt drained, but Giovanni and I had been friends since high school, and I didn't want to tell him no, so I tried writing this thing about friendship. Try as I might, though, it wouldn't take form, and just as I was about to tell him that I couldn't do it, it occurred to me that maybe, just maybe, I might be able to write about something for my father, my babbo, disguising it as a message for a friend, because I couldn't stand to think about him anymore. I'd stopped dreaming about him. I couldn't even bring myself to cry about him. I gave that a try, and it worked like a charm. Anyone who knows me realizes I wasn't writing to a friend. Those who love me understood and mercifully said nothing. And so, that evening, it was late, past midnight, I watched Valeria step on stage, lovely as the noon sun, and transmit my first message to my father since what had happened. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to read all 3 of these tonight. And, you know, look at that. That is, what have we got here? Actually, I've got pub sheets. This first one is Eduardo Nasi's book is 200 pages long. Harry Turtledove's book is 250 pages long. And A Half-Built Garden is 300 pages long. So that's well under 1,000 pages. And I'm going to read tonight from midnight until morning at 150 pages an hour. So this will bump out some of the things that I have, but it won't ruin the whole night. I might even start early. I might get the 3 Miles Down thing done before midnight, before I officially start reading. But that's the mail for today. 3 books. 1 nonfiction, 2 science fiction. Fantastic. Just incredible. So not a bad mail haul at all. We'll wrap this up while we're ahead. If I get more, I will give you more. But in the meantime, I will see you soon. Thank you, BookTube.